Yes! Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Week 6 DFS preview and picks. Yes, 4 Thursday, 4 Friday, 4 Saturday morning and Saturday night. We got you covered, folks. It was great getting some CUSA games last night. Although I did go 0 for 2. I had a late switch to Middle Tennessee. I thought it was going to hit, but Rich Rod is proving that he's one of the best coaches in America. And, as much as I lost the airport, I was kind of in a decent spot because I have the over on New Mexico State 5.5 wins. I think that might have just came home last night. Essentially with that win, I think it might have came home. Folks, if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, well, that's fair. My name is Colby Swigga Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Nobody knows nothing.
Somebody knows. Double the price, but no one touches Dundee.
Oh, we got a loaded DFS slate. Hey, maybe this week my players will actually play. Still upset about Jalen Daniels burning money in my pocket. You know what I mean? Just no information, no nothing. Just doesn't play in Austin, Texas last week. Let me go ahead and say that's why I really lost all those games. I am joined by my co-host. They call him the DFS God himself, and we invite you to come play DFS with us. We will tweet this out from at NC__NICK, and also the College Football Experience account at TCE on SGPN. If you have any questions, hit us up. But give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, Tobacco Road living, the free lack giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. How we doing, man?
Oh man, those games last night were fun. They were fun. I mean, kind of both comebacks. I mean, specifically the Jacksonville State story continues to be incredible. And I thought, I don't know if you paid much attention to this, that and we should probably address this on one that's not a DFS show, but I'll key in on it right now just because it's topical. They're making the fee to go to the FBS $5 million instead of 5,000,
right?
Because they don't want a lot of teams to do it. And my thing is, look at the teams that have done it. They're all been successful. I mean, yes, Sam Houston State is winless right now, but they've been chippy in every game. Jacksonville State is 4 or 5-1. James Madison last year was a great story. This year they're undefeated, including the only team in the country that has three in the FBS that has 3 road wins already. And
yeah, why don't they want them to? I haven't heard a reason as to why yet.
I think they're just trying to, because the TV contracts are solid and they're going up, so everyone's trying to get in on the party. But my thing is go back to App State and Georgia Southern, like Coastal. All of the FCS schools that have jumped up lately have passed the test. I mean, Sam Houston hasn't gotten the wins, but they've been in it. They were in it all day with BYU. Who's looking really good this year. I think they're 4-1. They were in it with Air Force, who won 10 games a season ago. They were in it last week against Jacksonville State. So they haven't got the wins yet, but I still think they're a solid football team.
That's almost why we need relegation. And I know that's kind of become like a trendy thing to say, and it's never going to happen, but it would be interesting to say, kick UMass down to the FCS. Let North Dakota State come up to the
or FBS. Delaware. I'm wearing a Delaware football shirt right now. I mean, they've earned it for about 40 fucking years. But
the games yesterday, I mean, we thought we were in good shape with Middle Tennessee. They were up 23-7 after those 2 Elijah Metcalf's touchdowns. Sure enough, they got their ass kicked in the second half. And then even with the airport, it was 17-17 when I went to bed. I was I was feeling pretty good. And then New Mexico State scores the last 17 points of that game. And if we can circle back and bring it back to DFS, last night, both of our lineups, we had Logan Smothers, and he was ineffective, got benched. They brought in Zion Webb. It seems like they're going to interchange those quarterbacks whenever one, doesn't have the hot hand. So that kind of, killed us last night. Jamie 82381, B Fur 54 came in second. And yes, Logan Smothers fucked us.
Yes, and that's been a theme. The quarterback's just not playing or barely getting in on the action. But that's how you get burned. But there's still a lot of fun out here to be made. And look, 49 straight days of football. Sign us up, beautiful, folks. All right, let's jump into Thursday. So Thursday night slate, you have only 2 games. Which I'm okay. I mean, yeah, you can add a third.
I like slates with at least 3 games because only 2 games. You're gonna have a lot of similarities. Like our personal league. When there's 10 teams or 10 entries or 15 entries, you're gonna have most of the players are gonna have like 60-70% ownership. So it kind of makes it hard to differentiate. But hey, that's part of the fun too. Yeah,
I mean, come on, look. I look at UMass Toledo on Saturday. Play that shit on Thursday.
Right.
There's a bunch of those we could do.
The 2 games you were alluding to, Sam Houston at Liberty with an over-under of 46 points, with Liberty being favored by 21. And then you got Western Kentucky La Tech and over-under of 58.5, with Western Kentucky favored by 6.
Yeah. I mean, both games should be fun, but all right. What'd you do with your lineup there? Did you go 2 QBs?
Yeah, I did. And so obviously there's only 4 quarterbacks here. I don't think anybody can feel comfortable with La Tech and whether or not Bachmeier plays. And going with Keegan Shoemaker, the Sam Houston quarterback, that would take some guts that I didn't have.
I have those guts, buddy.
Okay. Well, I went Alston Reed. I went Caden Salter. Which of those top 2 quarterbacks did you not roster?
Well, look, I think Louisiana Tech is a really bad team. I know they have 2 wins. I think they're a really bad team. And I locked up Western Kentucky for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Alston Reed is going to throw the ball all over the field against the against the Bulldogs there. So that was my play right there. Alston Reed at 8,800, and then to bargain shop 5,600. I don't think Shoemaker's was bad. That first couple of weeks, I mean, BYU's defenses looked pretty good. Air Force was the number 1 defense in the nation last year. So I don't believe their offense is as bad as everyone says.
They looked better last week. So maybe they can make those strides there. So you didn't go Salter, even though he's averaging a ton of points, 34.4 fantasy points a game.
He is a stud, but Sam Houston's defense is actually pretty good.
They looked solid most of this year, other than the second half against Jacksonville State. But it appears the Gamecocks, they're just a second half team.
Fair. And Rich Rod's a very good coach that makes good adjustments. But I mean, also, can we Bowling Green, their defense not very good. New Mexico State, probably the best defense they've played thus far. And Liberty did have 33. Buffalo's defense is atrocious, and the Airports is not terrible, but I would make the case that Sam Houston might be the best defense they've played yet.
Okay. Well, so I'm curious because I'm guessing you have a lot of money left over.
I have $0. I have $100.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
See, my whole thing was why I rostered both of the most expensive quarterbacks was I didn't know where else to spend the money. I mean, the top running back was less than 6K. The top receiver was only 7.7K. So you must have a lot of guys in that 6 to 7K range.
All my wideouts, I feel like, but yeah.
All right. Well, speaking, let's wait on wideouts and go running backs. I only have 2.
I have 3.
Well, you lead the way.
My top running back. I'm taking you. Look, La Tech. What do you do when you have quarterback problems? Your running back becomes your best friend, and Tyree Shelton, 37 rushes, 318 yards. I would like to see them try throwing him the ball a little bit, but he's I think old faithful for this offense. When you have quarterback problems, you look at what he's done the past 2 games: 16 rushes in each game, 16 for 152 against North Texas, 16 for 104 against UTEP. He had touchdowns in both those games. And go back to the Northwestern State game where he barely played because because they were dominating 5 for 62 and a touchdown. So he scored 3 straight weeks. So that was my play there.
I like the play. I didn't have enough money for him because I did spend up big on those quarterbacks. And I'm kind of worried about game script. I think Western Kentucky, if they get an early lead, that'll force La Tech to have to pass the ball more. Shelton's a fine player, and with the injuries in that backfield, he's going to get the lion's share of the touches. But I didn't roster him. I don't mind the play, but I just didn't have the money because I spent more at quarterback.
All right. Well, who is your top dog?
My top dog is Quentin Cooley going back to Liberty.
Gotta have him. Gotta have him on your roster. Gotta have him on your roster.
The question is, which one of the two Liberty running backs do you roster, Lucas or Cooley? Cooley averages about 3 more touches per game. They also kind of ride the hot hand, so it's a bit of a gamble. I don't think you want to roster both of them, but it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world because Liberty does have, they're favored by 21.
Yeah.
So they're going to put up some offense. They average over 500 yards per game offense. They have been cruising offensively so far, but yeah. So we agree with Cooley.
We do. And do you have a third running back?
I only have 2. My second one is let's go on the other side of the ball. Let's go John Gentry, Sam Houston State Bearcats.
What's
his
price?
Roster him? He is 5,200.
No, I didn't have the money. Didn't have the money for my third running back, so I went with but no, Gentry, that would be a nice play if I had the money, but
well, it's also a backfield with a lot of injuries, which led him to getting 30 carries last week. And in addition to the 30 carries, he also caught 3 for 85 and a touchdown. So
he's their second leading receiver when it comes to receptions. They like to get him the ball.
Yeah. Now you could argue the same thing that I said, against Shelton, is that Sam Houston might be playing from behind a lot, but I just think it's a volume play and for a pretty cheap price.
Yeah, my last I like the Gentry angle. My last play running back wise, I'm taking a bit of a flyer here. The former USC Trojan Marquise Stepp. He has the most carries on Western Kentucky. However, he is not the leading rusher. That's LT Sanders. Marquise Stepp, I think, is a talented back. He's good out of the backfield as well. I know hasn't been lighting it up. I mean, they don't commit to the run a lot.
There's Irvin Poindexter also. So
yeah,
I stayed away from that situation.
Well, I only had $4,600 left, so I didn't have a lot of answers out there to do. So I took a flyer on Marquise Stepp, hoping that, the one thing I will say that he definitely is struggling to run the ball, 3.9 yards a rush, 1 touchdown, but he is pretty solid out the backfield. He was back at USC. He is still currently at Western Kentucky. So I'm counting on some receptions from Marquise Stepp.
Well, in general, I think you want to roster more guys on Liberty and Western Kentucky. And actually, I didn't have anybody on La Tech. Did you have players on all 4 teams?
I did, because I have La Tech starting running back. No, Sam Hugh. Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right. So I have 4 receivers, so I'll lead the way. I'm pretty sure we're going to play the music, and that's Malachi Corley for 7.7K.
I mean, one of the best wideouts in the nation. Why wouldn't you?
Right. The only bad thing is that everybody's going to roster him, probably 100% across the board, or at least in the 90s. But you have to.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has 29 catches, 331 yards on the season. And I mean, look at his last 3 games: 8 for 81, 9 for 107. Against Ohio State, even 8 for 88 and a touchdown. He's gotten touchdown multiple weeks there. You got to roster him.
Yeah,
got to roster him
pretty much. Moving along, I'll go again because it's a double stack, because I have one more Hilltopper receiver. Might not be who you're thinking too. I'm going to go for 5.3K Dalvin Smith. He plays kind of a hybrid tight end receiver role. He's been injured this year. He's had a couple quiet games, but in the opener, he went 7 for 97 and a touchdown. In the bowl game last year, he went 6 for 145 and a touchdown. So you see his upside, and I don't think a lot of people will be on him because he's had a couple back-to-back quiet games. So I like, a gamble on Dalvin Smith.
Kentucky's own. I like it. How much was he?
5.3.
Damn it. Because I was looking for someone below 4.6. No, I didn't roster him, but I did do big smoke Harris. Look, it doesn't matter. They're running the air raid, whether it's Bachmeier or whether it's Jack Turner. Smoke Harris, the second leading receiver for La Tech has 18 catches. Smoke Harris has more than double that. All right. 37 catches on the season. This guy is an animal. All right. I understand last week, not the greatest performance, but
he did have the punt return for a touchdown though.
Yeah. Yeah. But the week before against Nebraska, he had 10 catches, 73 yards. He's going to have a big day here. If they're going to have any chance of staying in this game, Smoke Harris has got to be a big part of it.
So again, with, spending money at quarterback, I didn't have the luxury of getting 2 receivers over 7K. I kind of like the play because I think a lot of people are going to see last week only the 3 catches for 7 yards and maybe not roster Smoke Harris. And let's face it, if La Tech is going to do anything offensively, they'd be wise to get him the ball. So probably a pretty good bounce back spot for Smoke Harris. Just couldn't fit him in to my lineup. Let's see here. I got my next guy. I'm going to take a stab at a Liberty receiver, and Liberty's receivers are kind of tough because they are a run heavy team. The pass catchers, who knows who's going to have the big game, game in, game out. But the guy that does lead the team in catches and yards is Trayon Sibley at 5K.
Yeah, I didn't have the money for him. I thought about him. I was taking a look at him.
He only has, I think, 10, 12 catches on the year. He's averaging an insane, yardage per catch. So it's definitely boom or bust.
Yeah, my final roster guy is a guy out of Houston, Texas, named Noah Smith for Sam Houston State. They're 21-point dogs. That means they're going to be throwing the ball. You know what he did last week against Jacksonville State? 10 catches. Somebody get the guy the ball.
Play the music, my friend.
Let's go. Noah Smith getting it done. So the real only weakness I see in my roster is potentially Marquez Stepp or Marquez Stepp.
Yeah, and one more thing on Noah Smith. He had 12 targets with Ife Adeye out last week. That he was the wide receiver 1, but Adeye is still out, so I do expect a lot more volume for Smith. I hear you. I don't love the Stepp play either, but at least he's on the Western Kentucky offense.
And he's a senior. He's a vet. Big game, nationally televised. He's gonna make a big appearance, have a touchdown or 2. Let's go!
Shout out to James S in the chat too.
Yeah, shout out to James. All right, look, before we get to the Friday lineup, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Game Time. Man, I haven't got my coffee yet, but you know what? You're not going to need your coffee yet if you got the Game Time app, because buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. All right. Game Time's the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater that is near you. With killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun that you'll be having at that very event. And forget planning months in advance. Game Times has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. And they have the Game Time guarantee, which means you'll always get the best price. In fact, if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So snag the tickets without the stress with the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, create that account, CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. So stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and start winning today, people. All right. Use that promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience DFS show. Yes. Oh, shout out to the chat rolling along. I think we got a bot in there potentially, but we also have Chad G. Shout out to Chad G. Let's talk a little bit about Friday's card. 2 games, unfortunately. DFS.
Again, can we get a third? Come on.
Especially when we have an Ivy League game. Put that one in there. Jamison Wang would be a great play right now.
He's better than any quarterback in the Big Ten West.
Very true. Very true. So the 2 games available in DFS for Friday is Kansas State at Oklahoma State. And I'm assuming Nebraska, Illinois is going to be okay to play despite the large fire that was in Champaign, Illinois, at their stadium.
Over-unders for those games, 53 for K-State, OK State, 42.5 for Nebraska Illini.
I struggled a little bit with this lineup. You?
Yeah, I think so, because there's so many bad or unpredictable offenses. I mean, really the only offense you feel secure with is Kansas State. And they have question marks with like Trayshawn Ward's injury. He should be back. So it was a challenge. I agree.
Yeah, out of all 4 of the lineups, this was the worst one. I think
I'll second that. Did you go 2 quarterbacks?
I did.
Did you go Will Howard?
Of course, because he's the one solid that you can count on.
Right.
In this game. And if anything, so look, you could play Altmaier, but Nebraska's passing defense has actually been very good for them this year.
Yeah, and I rostered Altmaier in the main slate as like a money saver last week, and he just didn't come through for me. He has decent legs, and that usually provides some explosiveness, somewhat of a decent ceiling, but just 14 fantasy points at Purdue. I'm still bitter over that. Altmaier is not my second quarterback.
Yes, he is not mine either. I'm
pretty sure you don't want anybody on Nebraska, right?
Oh yeah. I have one player on Nebraska, but it's not the quarterback. I'm going with Alan Bowman, the veteran who's been in college since friggin' Hootie and the Blowfish first dropped an album. All right.
Same here. Play the music.
Oh, there we go. Alan Bowman out of Grapevine, Texas, born in 1972. I'm joking, but not really. He is really old.
Finally given the reins to be like the long-term starter. There's no more quarterback carousel with 3 guys coming in and out. And you saw he kind of responded last week, or not last week because I had a bye. The week before that, going for 278 and 2 touchdowns. And I do like the fact that they had a bye because they need to get things going more offensively. Maybe that, pause, step back, take a look at things. Maybe that'll help.
100%. Now the running back position is one where I'm getting a little wild, and I'm playing a stack with Kansas State.
Yeah,
I'm going with
Giddens and Ward.
Yes, I need Ward to play. I think I saw questionable, but I thought I saw probable online.
I think he's gonna play.
So I'm stacking both of them. Oklahoma's run defense hasn't been great.
It's not a bad choice. I went Giddens. I had the extra money. He's only $200 more. This was almost an even split before Ward went out. While Ward was out, Giddens ran for over 200 against UCF last week. So he's capable of having big games. It'll be interesting to see what the split is. It'll be interesting to see if it's a close game where Ward is needed.
Yeah, Ward is also, I think, more of a home run threat.
I'll buy that.
But I have both. I thought both made sense in a game where Oklahoma State needs to prove to me that they can play decent defense. And also I love the fact that Kansas State returns the all 5 offensive linemen from a year ago. I think, if you were to grade offensive lines in the Big 12, Texas would probably be number 1, but right there at number 2 would either be Kansas State or West Virginia. So I like getting action on that. That's why I have Will Howard as well. So that offensive line protecting against a questionable defense, sign me up.
It's interesting. I could do that because I have money left over, but my second running back is on the other side of that game because I do want more players in this game rather than the Big Ten West game. I went Ollie Gordon for Oklahoma State for 5.7K. Ran for over 100 last week because the offense opened up, because they could actually pass the ball some. So I'm kind of betting on the Oklahoma State offense to be a lot better than it was the first 3 weeks of the season. I don't feel great about that bet, but that's the direction I'm going towards. I do have the money for Ward if I wanted to switch, though. I'm not right now, but I do like the angle you took.
Well, in my last running back, I am excited about because there's a glaring weakness on Nebraska's defense. It is their run defense and their defensive line. Brett Bielema and Illinois have been struggling, but I think he went back to, perhaps realizing that maybe we shouldn't be throwing the ball this much. You look at what Reggie Love did against Florida Atlantic. He had the best, and they had a bye week. So last week, but the last time they stepped on a field, he had 85 yards rushing, also had 2 receptions. I think when you look at, some of these other games, the game prior, Penn State's defensive line, incredibly good. So when I look at the clear weakness of Nebraska, I think Bielema's going to know what to attack. I think Reggie Love's a very smart play here.
I like it. I rostered him as well, and part of the reason I like it because
Reggie Love. I'm sorry. Continue.
Not a problem. He has that probable tag. It might scare people off, but apparently he practiced full Tuesday and Wednesday, and Bielema says he should be a full go. So as long as he's playing, I like rostering the Illinois running back when he's under 5K.
100%. Wide receiver wise, because you're done with your backs, right?
Yes. Same game, same team. How about Isaiah Williams?
I did not take him, but look, I think he's the best offensive weapon for Illinois. I just think Nebraska's pass defense is pretty solid.
It is, and it's not like the Fighting Illini passing attack is that great, but Williams has at least 5 catches in every game. He's had 99 or more yards in 3 of 5 games. So I just think he's a safe bet for production, and no touchdowns yet. So what do I say? Positive touchdown regression candidate. I think he's probably the best receiver on the slate, even if he's not on a great passing attack.
Well, I'm taking you back to back to Stillwater. I'm going with Phillip Brooks. Now I thought about going Ben Sinnott, who's a fucking stud tight end for Kansas State. If you haven't watched this guy, I think he'll be in the NFL. But Phillip Brooks, their leading receiver, he had 1 game with just 5 catches. Every other game he's had 6, 7 catches. I think he's clearly one of their top guys. 24 catches, 226 yards on the season, 2 touchdowns. So I went with him. Like I said, Oklahoma State's gonna have to prove it to me that they can play good defense.
Well, there's our first side bet, because those 2 receivers we just mentioned are only $100 apart. I could have rostered Brooks. I went Williams. Let's fucking go.
Let's go. Little battle, little Friday night battle. Let's go. I have another wideout. Well, actually, give me your second wideout.
You mentioned him. He's a tight end, so not for Kansas State. I need one of the pass catchers. He is he gets at least 5 targets every game. He's had some big matchups. Big games against Mizzou, against UCF.
How much is he?
He is 5.4K.
Man, I'm tempted. I am tempted to. You know what? I'm getting rid of Billy Kemp. I'm going with Sinnott. Billy Kemp gets a lot of balls. He's actually the only receiver for Nebraska that actually gets a lot of balls. But
hold on. So if I'm doing the math, you have the Kansas State quarterback, the 2 running backs, the receiver, and the tight end.
They're scoring in the 30s, dude.
Love it. It's not a bad play on this slate, that's for sure. I mean, all your eggs are in one basket, but it's a pretty good basket.
Well, and Kemp, like the potential first road start for the Nebraska quarterback. What's my guy's name again?
Was it Barnheiser or something?
Harburg. No, it's like Heinrich.
There you go. So some really German name.
The Heinrich Harburg. That's my German accent. But okay, and I only have 1 player left, so you got to give me a player or 2.
Same here. This is the Oklahoma State receiver, so I can have a stack with Bowman. The Washington State transfer, Deshaun Stribling.
Yep, out of Hawaii. Went to high school, played high school ball in Hawaii. I think originally a Nick Rolovich recruit.
3 for 60 last week. Got 9 targets in the passing game last week. So I think if the passing game is improved, I think he's their wide receiver 1.
I agree. That's my last wideout. Let's move to the Saturday slate because this was the one I had the most fun with. You look at the Saturday slate here, and it's a lot of fun. Saturday morning I thought was the most fun.
Dude, there were so many players I wanted to get in here. I had a blast doing it also. I only went one quarterback. I'm curious as to what you did with the quarterbacks in general on the slate because there was a lot of tempting plays.
Yes, I mean you got Cam Ward out there. You got Jaden Daniels. You got all these stud quarterbacks. I went with 2 lawn chairs pretty much.
Well, not only do you have stud quarterbacks, but you also have like cheap guys too. Like if I'm scrolling down the quarterback list, I see. I don't know, Garrett Schrader at 7.2K, averaging almost 30 fantasy points a game. If I see Jason Bean at 6.7K, I think he's tempting. You could even talk yourself into Graham Mertz or a long shot Dante Moore at only 6K.
Very true. Very true. But no, I kind of paid up a little bit. You could find me in the club, Cade Klubnik against Wake Forest. Look, they always beat the piss out of Wake Forest. I think they bounce back. I think he has a big game at 8K. I'm going with like you can find me in the club. Who was your top quarterback?
I thought about him as well. I only have one quarterback. And I have enough money for either Cameron Ward or Jordan Travis. I think I'm going to go Cameron Ward.
Yeah, he's a fucking stud. What's his price tag?
8.6K.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Averaging 36.2 fantasy points. I mean, it's the first really tough road test of the year, but three of the 4 games he's been over 40 fantasy points. You know, he might not get to 40 this week, but I still think he can get to 30, and that's what you need.
If I had $100 more, I would roster him. Give me that $100. My second quarterback, I'm going to a guy that look. Thoughts and prayers are with Greg Brooks and LSU, the safety for LSU. I know it's a terrible situation, but I think that secondary sucks. All right, and when I see Brady,
bold take.
Brady Cook with those wideouts that Mizzou has. What are we doing, folks? You got to roster him at 7,400.
I like it.
He will definitely throw for over 300 yards, maybe 400. So
at home, I like it.
Yeah, I mean Luther Burden. I mean they got the Fresno offensive coordinator that can get really creative. Theo Weiss, Mookie Cooper. You know those guys are gonna have big days. So Brady Cook, let the man cook.
You'll find no argument here. I just went one quarterback, so I went 4 running backs. How many running backs do you have?
I have 3.
All of my guys are between 5.6 and 6.4K. I'll start and kind of echo everything you said about that Clemson Wake Forest game, but I'm not going to go the passing attack. I'm going to go the running game and Will Shipley for 6.4K.
I had him last week. He scored for me. Played solid.
Not a great game though last week. I expect a bounce back. I mean, that Syracuse defense is tougher than Wake Forest.
100%. 100%. My top running back, and look, folks, don't overthink this. You know, Patty C might think Oklahoma is the best team in the nation, but I certainly don't. And when I look at Texas's offensive line, I see multiple first-round draft picks. I actually have a stack. That's my new thing, running back stacks. I'm going Jonathan Brooks, 6,700. He's the key to Texas beating the piss out of Oklahoma, in my opinion.
That's an obvious play. I didn't take him, but I mean, 200 plus yards last week. His ownership is going to be high, but how can you not like the play?
And I also, like I said, I went with a stack.
Baxter?
I went with Baxter as well at 4,600. CJ Baxter, because he's got 37 carries. He's got a touchdown. Sometimes I like to give it to him if the field shrinks. So There we go.
That's interesting. I like it more on the Friday night slate than the Saturday main slate when there's so many more options.
I didn't have that much money. Well, actually, let me see this. Yeah, I feel like I have 5,100. Can you find me something below 5,100? That would. I thought about British Brooks.
What does it have to? Does it have to be a running back, or can you think receiver?
It could be a receiver.
All right. Well, we'll get to receivers. I got a dirt cheap receiver below 4K who I'm kind of excited about.
Oh, okay, I do too, and it's in Pasadena.
Okay, so we probably got the same guy.
yeah. Let's switch over. Wait, dude,
I got like 3 more running backs.
Yeah,
I'm just getting warmed up with running backs. Let's see here. Here's a guy who came on the scene last year. I was kind of ahead of the curve on him. There's going to be a lot of points in Central Florida, Kansas. You need to get pieces of that. I'm going to go RJ Harvey for 6.1K.
He's a fucking stud. He's a stud. When you watch him play, he's just better than a lot of people on the field. I like that play.
I'll continue. I got 2 more running backs. 5.8K, take it to Chapel Hill, but the visiting team, LaQuint Allen, all he does is put up at least 20 fantasy points. Even against Clemson, he put up 20 points on the dot. UNC traditionally struggles to defend the run. And if Syracuse is going to do anything in this game, it's they're going to get physical offensively. And I just like the volume and production that I've seen from Allen so far.
I like it. I still have a running back to give you as well. And he hasn't been like necessarily killing it. They don't give him that many carries, but Virginia Tech's run defense is awful.
Yeah.
Trey Benson, 6,600.
I like it. I rostered him, I think, was it last week, and he didn't do much, or maybe 2 weeks ago.
7 carries. That's it.
Yeah. Dude, feed him the rock. This is a guy that I think he ran for over 100 yards in like 4 of the last 5 regular season games last year. So it's been kind of perplexing as to why he hasn't gotten more carries, but I do like the play. My last running back, though, kind of the same boat where he hasn't been getting a ton of carries so far either. But I wanted to roster Carson Lexington Steele and his pet alligator all year. And I think this is the game where maybe I know UCLA has to lean on the run game.
Yeah. Shrink the game. They have to shrink the game. If they're trying to do shootout, they're going to get their ass whooped.
Exactly. I think this is the game where you give this kid like 20 touches. So 5.6K Carson Lexington Steele.
Not a bet. He's our boy. So we got it. But Myron Kidd also brings up a good point in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in, Myron. He goes, I wonder if Plumlee's starting for UCF. If not, McLean is cheap. Plus he is a stud. That play, that 4th and 5 conversion, unbelievable by Timmy McLean.
And that kind of goes to my point where you want pieces in that game. The question is
monitor that scenario.
That's the question. Yeah. Like, do you want to have to monitor it up until kickoff and then possibly pivot off of it, with only a few minutes to spare? So I like the play though. It's definitely good advice.
Wide out wise. And like I said, I'm keeping 5,100 out there. If you can find me a wide out that I can buy into, but, buddy, Luther Burden III is going to have 7,000 yards against LSU. They have nobody that can stop him.
He's a monster, and I rostered him as well. One of the best receivers in the nation.
Yes, he is just, and I think gives Missouri a clear advantage.
One of the other best receivers in the nation is going to line up opposite Burden, same game, different team, and I think 6.5K is also too cheap for Malik Neighbors. I got both of them.
Ooh, I didn't have that type of cash flow, but I like the play because Neighbors is a fucking stud too. And I expect some fireworks in Columbia, Missouri. But I'm taking you back to the Rose Bowl. I got a little stack. Couldn't afford Cam Ward, but I'm going with his boys. Kyle Williams, the former UNLV running Rebel, at $5,400. You got him too?
No.
Oh,
just good play. And
then I think we both have the guy for $3,900.
Yes, exactly. This is Carlos Hernandez. We know. I'm forgetting the guy's name. Victor
Bolt. No, not Victor Bolton.
What's
Victor.
His name? He's injured. He plays the slot for Washington State. He's on my fantasy team. His name is Lincoln Victor. There you go. He's hurt, high ankle sprain. He's missing this week. It sure seems like Carlos Hernandez is going to fill in for him. He caught 7 balls against Oregon State. Great money saver with Carlos Hernandez.
Yes, at 3,900. So now I'm out of players, and like I said, I took out CJ Baxter. I got 5,100. Do I go with maybe I should go with the Florida State running back stack because I could afford Tofili.
5,100. Xavier Townsend is.
I thought about that, but with the quarterback scenario,
yeah,
in UCF.
I like so many guys within. How about Jatavian Sanders? Is he definitely playing?
I don't know that to be true.
He's 4,900. So right now, he will not sit out any games. I think he's playing.
All right, let's go. That's it.
Or do you double down and fade that LSU secondary and go Mookie Cooper 4.8K?
That's what I'm doing.
A little double stack with your quarterback. There you go.
Let's go. Mookie Cooper. Look, I was a Mookie Blaylock fan. I was a Mookie Wilson fan with the New York Mets. Give me Mookie Cooper. Let's go. Is that did you give away your whole team?
That's it, man.
All right. So now we move to Saturday night. But before we get to Saturday night, I want to tell you that the College Football Experience Week 6 DFS show is brought to you by good old Underdog Fantasy. Yes. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. And Underdog just introduced Scorchers. Yes, go 5 for 5 and pick 'em Scorchers and enjoy a spicy 100 times payout. Look, from now until that's kind of cooked now. But look, they have $100,000 Sundays. They continue on Underdog Fantasy each and every Sunday. 10 lucky players will win $10,000 each. Look, I mean, it's Thursday. They want me to give out a dog. Who's a live dog this weekend? Let's go with Washington State.
Definitely.
In the Rose Bowl. Yeah, I think wrong team favorite. I think they're going to get it done with Cam Ward. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little extra cash over at Underdog's mobile app or website, UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. Once again, that's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. All right, now we jump into the Saturday night lineup. Personally, my favorite, I think, was the Saturday day, but I do enjoy my Saturday night lineup as well.
I did too. Agreed.
I got 2 quarterbacks again.
I did. You? Yep. Agreed. I have 2 also. And I actually spent up big on quarterback this week because I thought there was like mid-range running backs and receivers that I liked. So I got 2 guys that are 8.5K and above. High roller.
High roller. You are good, sir. Okay. I went cheaper. Give me your top quarterback.
Jackson Dart, 9K. Look, I wasn't a Dart believer coming into this season. I actually thought Spencer Sanders was better. He is making me eat my words because Dart is putting up some serious stats. 45 fantasy points last week against LSU, over 40 against Georgia Tech earlier. The dude is just putting up monster production.
Yeah. And I mean, look, you're right. And he's a stud. I couldn't afford him. But I'll raise you one higher. I'll stay in that game. You know who hasn't had a great dominating performance yet this year?
Going back to the well, huh?
KJ Jefferson.
What did he do for you last week?
He struggled.
8
9
fantasy,
of 17.
8 fantasy points. Look, I get it. I mean, I get the play. I do think Arkansas is a live dog in this one. And if they are, Jefferson needs a big game. And the price isn't bad, but he just has.
Would you say that Ole Miss's defense is on par with LSU's?
Yeah. I mean, you just saw both of them put up 50 on each other.
The reason why I say that is against LSU 2 weeks ago, KJ Jefferson threw for about 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also ran for 50.
It's not a bad play because the quarterbacks below him all have serious question marks.
Well, I have another quarterback below him too. But yeah.
Are you talking about maybe Morton for Texas Tech?
Yeah.
That was the guy who, if I was going to take a shot at a low dollar quarterback, I would have went Morton. Had a solid game, not great, against Houston, but I think that's a sneaky game for a lot of points.
Yeah, it's the butt bowl. You got to love that. And Baron Morton, Texas Tech, he started some games a year ago. And look, last week he was questionable. I think he's going to be a little more comfortable this week, a little more healthy. And that is the reason why you play him when he goes into Waco here. Who's your second quarterback?
Tyler Van Dyke, 8.5K. I just hope that Georgia Tech makes it competitive, because the only game where Van Dyke has had to pass, the whole game is that Texas A&M one where he put up 36.8 fantasy points. So yeah. I think he's just a safe bet for at least like mid-20s. So 8.5K, but I wasn't in love with the other quarterbacks on the slate, so that's why I decided to spend up.
You know what I was in love with is my running backs.
I got 3 of them, and
me too.
I'm a big fan of them as well. Who's your top dog?
My top running back is Audric Estime against a Louisville defense that I don't think is there yet to stop him. How about yourself?
I like that play. I mean, Estime's been a beast. He was too expensive for me since I spent him at quarterback. So I'm going back to my guy, Quinshon Judkins, 6.4K. We finally had the breakout game where he went 33 for 177 and a touchdown last week. If anything, you would think, with that many points scored, he probably would have got multiple touchdowns. Maybe that'll happen this week.
You want to talk about breakout games. There's a guy that only has 76 yards on the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
He got injured against Western Carolina week 1. Last week he was bottled up, but he was playing in his first game back, only 34 yards. Rocket Sanders is going to go wild on Ole Miss, and that might be our bottle of bourbon bet, because I think
Rocket Sanders versus Judkins.
Here's why I think.
I'm writing it down.
I think Pulled Pork Pittman knows they got to run the ball, right? They have to, like, the key. If you're just going to fire the ball around, you're going to get in this crazy game. You look at what he did a year ago against Ole Miss. He had a gigantic game when I think they scored a lot of points in that game too. He's healthier now. He's healthier, and he hasn't had a good game yet. So I think he's undervalued at 5,500 against the Ole Miss defense that I don't think is very good.
I like it. It wouldn't be our DFS show if Colby doesn't stack a quarterback and a running back. So
damn right,
going high on the hogs is Dundee. I like it. I didn't roster Rocket Sanders. If healthy, he is very electric, so I don't mind it.
Who's your next running back?
I got 2 running backs in like the mid-5 range, which I really like, and I'm gonna go Taj Brooks for Texas Tech. Everything we were saying about that Texas Tech Baylor game applies. The guy has 3 straight games over 100 yards. Very quietly, Texas Tech is running the ball more than they used to, and Taj Brooks is getting those carries and doing a lot with them.
I like it, but how much was he?
5.6.
Okay. Do you have a guy that's 5.2? Because I do.
Yes, and we saw him in person a couple weeks ago break like an 85-yard run to the house.
See what he did last week?
Dude, this guy is he has found a very nice home in what do they call it? Laramie? What do they call it?
Laradice.
Laradice. There you go. Harrison Whaley, 5.2K. Also 3 straight games over 100 yards.
Over 10 yards of rush last week. And you got to like the fact that one of his backups, DQ James, got kicked off the team. So the depth is not necessarily there. They're going to give him a big dosage of the pill. Harrison Whaley, I got him as well. So load up on the Cowboys. Buckle up, baby. Wideout wise.
How about Myron Kidd in the chat saying Tez Walker's now eligible? How about that?
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of strange timing, but it's overdue. So good for him.
Well, the question is do you want to burn your eligibility? I guess you do, right? Because that's gonna count as 1 year right there. It's week 6.
So you think he should sit out and play next year? The guy's getting up there. The guy's probably like 25 or something.
I know, and you're undefeated. You have a chance to really make a difference.
I think you play.
Shame on the NCAA for fucking this season up for him, though, man. Like, now you're going to let him at least stick to your guns if you're going to do it.
Yeah, but hey, look, better late than never, so good for him.
Yeah. So I went. I think you did this a couple weeks ago. I have a two tight end stack in this show today.
I like it.
You can take a guess who they are. I think they're probably the two biggest names right now at the tight end position in college football.
Bowers and Evans.
Yep, Bowers and Evans, baby. Sounds like a whiskey. All right.
I like it.
So that only leaves me with one other player, but fire away some of your wideouts.
So
here.
I also have Mitchell Evans. By the way, Colby doesn't want to mention this, but our lock battle was Mitchell Evans versus Chris Tyree last week. Mitchell Evans goes 6 for 134 against Duke. He has that crazy catch.
Yeah,
the dude is just a beast. I mean, he's
why weren't they using him? When I go back to the Ohio State game, I know he had a decent game, but it's like
7 for 75 against Ohio State. Yeah,
I
against
don't
NC State, 1 catch, 2 yards.
Yeah, it's like what?
The dude has soft hands, and he is a load to bring down. He's going to be playing in the NFL. Same thing. I mean, he's kind of like Brock Bowers, who great hands and is tough to bring down in the open field. So I like it. I didn't have the money for Bowers, but I did go Evans.
Yeah, I got Bowers. We're going. Look, that's Georgia's only offensive success is, hey, we have Brock Bowers. You don't. We're gonna dominate. So, I only have one guy left, so you should name another guy.
Okay, 5.2K. I got to stack somebody with Van Dymes, and this guy was also part of a side bet a couple weeks ago. Jacoby George.
It's my wideout too. Look, it's got my name in there. All right, can't fade that. And
while I probably like Xavier Restrepo better for 6.1K, I do like him better than Colby Young. So, yep, Jacoby George, and then so you're done.
I'm done.
All right, I got to go back to this Texas Tech Baylor game. Slept on game with a lot of points. I'm going to go Monterey Baldwin for 4.4K. I mean, all he did last week with his quarterback back under center was go over 7 for 150 and a touchdown. I think he's dirt cheap. He's way too cheap. Let me get Monterey Baldwin.
I like it, and I think there'll be a lot of. I think that game is going to be in the high 30s. I would say. I would at least assume.
You would assume so.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, that's our show then, right? Just like that. Jake Paquin, you're entering the chat. You're gonna hit that rewind button, folks. Shout out to Jake. Can't wait for the games. Let's buckle up. Let's watch them. We got games. 49 straight days of football starting last night.
And so next week we're gonna try to do a Monday night episode where we preview and pick all the weekday games, but also sprinkle a little DFS in that Monday podcast. So because
obviously we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
three
Friday.
games on Tuesday. Yeah. Dude, let's just say right now, next Tuesday night, I'm really freaking excited for, because we got Coastal Carolina, App State, great Sun Belt game. We got Liberty, Jacksonville State. Especially if Liberty wins tonight, you're gonna have a 5-0 team against a 5-1 team. And then sprinkle a little La Tech, Middle Tennessee State in there too.
I was thinking about that. Stockstill, that might, with him blowing that game, that could be the end of the road, man. They need that win. They better win next week.
He's been on the hot seat, for a couple years now. And you're right. If he can't turn this around, then maybe Middle Tennessee State goes a different direction.
Although he's a good coach. So, all right, folks, that's our show. Subscribe on, give us a follow on Twitter, NC Nick. Well, by the way, we invite you to come play DFS. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/The College Experience. We'll be back. I'll be back with CJ Sullivan for the weekend bombs in about let's say 12:30 Pacific. So buckle up, folks, and see you then. All right. Till next time, this is the College Football Experience Week 6 DFS show. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.